Very much for joining us for this post-match press conference of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. We are joined by the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns, Coach Rulani Mokwena. Welcome, Coach. Congratulations, Coach. Huge results, progression into the semi-finals of the competition. Your overall assessment of the match today?
Yeah, good afternoon to members of the media. Now, congratulations to the football club. It means a lot. It means a lot to the team. Means a lot to the supporters. Means a lot to the management of this club, who have invested a lot, and we've fallen short a couple of years now. And now it's only one step further, and the dream lives on.
Thank you, Coach. Members of the media, it's an opportunity to ask questions. Please raise your hand, identify yourself as well as the publication that you represent.
Coach,
How
easy or how difficult was it to flush out the first leg and play this game? Because first half, kind of, I'm not sure if first half, would you say like the first half was a bit of a shock to your players? How easy or difficult was it to flush out the first leg and play this game as a fresh game?
Yeah, good question, Kent. I'm sure it was very difficult. One of my biggest disadvantages is not having played professional football. So some of these things I have not lived. And so I have huge expectations, but from a psychological perspective, I can just imagine how difficult it is. So I have a reliance on speaking to the players a lot. I have to speak, I have to feel, I have to sense where they are and what they think about the game. And then try to be emotionally very, very sober. So the feeling I got even in the first half before they scored was we were closer to scoring than they were. And I thought we were in control. The only disappointment of the first half is the extra 5 minutes after they scored. I think emotionally we were rattled a little bit and not to continue to play and then fortunately we didn't bleed a lot around the box, because if you bleed a lot around the box against the North African side, they get free kicks, they get corner kicks, and then they smell blood and they go for the second, and that could have complicated issues. But after that, I think we then stabilized ourselves again. We showed very good leadership. The senior players took charge of the game again, and a very good goal from Mshishi. And then at halftime we had to talk about a couple of things, make a few tweaks in our build-up. 2 or 3 steps from AB meant 2 or 3 steps from Modiba. Then it meant 2 or 3 steps from Bule. And then once you could get that, you've got very good rest defense, you've got very good possibilities for retaining possessions, and then you defend a lot better. So you don't defend with the 10 coming to the half space, you actually then defend with the 8. That means you've got a bit more potency on transition because the 10 is a little bit higher. And then the strikers are closer to the centre backs, because with the back 3 it's a little bit complicated. So good. Congratulations to the players. Congratulations to the football club. Congratulations to the supporters. They were good today. They came in numbers and they supported us and gave us a lot of energy in a very difficult game against a very, very good side with a good coach.
Coach Lani Lorenzo.
Sure, Lawrence.
The opposition coach. The opposition coach was very complimentary about you, the squad as well, pre-match and post-match. The strongest team in Africa, most technically good team in Africa, and probably going to win the Champions League. Does that mean that all the hard work over the near misses of the past few seasons are now truly behind you guys, and that this is probably the year?
Yeah, we received the compliments with a lot of humility and appreciation, coming from a very experienced coach on the continent. But like I always say, with the pleasantries, it's like being fed honey on a knife. And I don't have to go too far back because a couple of weeks ago we lost to Stellis. and we were the worst team. I was the worst coach. And so this is football. In football, you have to take the good moments just like you take the bad moments. Not too high in the good moments, not too low in the bad moments. We have a 24-hour rule, so we will enjoy the game, the feeling, and then rest, lots of sleep, lots of water. Tomorrow we come in, we clean the game from our system, and then we prepare for a very difficult match against AmaZulu.
Thank you, Coach. Do you have a question? Mr. Klisi?
Two questions on the same theme, if I may. Is there a mental block about Wydad, or do you think that's sort of something that is a bit of a media creation? And the 2023 version of Wydad, you having obviously done all your homework, are they a patch on the last year's side, given all the coaching changes and personnel changes? They strike me as an amateur viewer as not the same team, not as good as the team that won last year.
Sure. Very good questions, Big Mark. What do I think? Look, I must be honest. I've only watched them from a spectator's point to keep abreast with the Champions League. So in the group stages, I watched to try to watch all the opponents and try to have a feeling about all the opponents and where the level of the Champions League is. And then I watched last night. As a spectator, and not really knowing which team we would play against. So I'm watching both Simba and both Wydad. So there was no zooming in on what I feel, but the work will of course begin immediately as we get closer to it. Because for now is a lot of work was done for this game. A lot of work is now going to be put into AmaZulu. Very, very difficult match, very difficult opponent, and will be very difficult in KZN for sure. So we have to work very hard with the preparations of that match, and then as we get closer to Wydad, I will have a little bit more of a overview. But difficult team, have a very good historic attachment to the Champions League, like Al Ahly. And so we're going to have to play very, very well, but we'll jump that bridge as soon as we get to it. I think I've answered both. If not, yeah, I don't feel it personally, but as I said, is maybe I don't feel it because I didn't live the situation. So I will rely a lot again once, as I said, talking to the players, what their feelings are, and we'll try to prepare as best as we possibly can.
Thank you, Coach. Come here.
Sure, come on.
First microphone.
You're welcome.
Congratulations on the progression.
Sure, come.
The first in a couple of years, Coach Rulani.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out, just hopping on to the same theme that Mark was talking about, is it perhaps a bit of a danger to try and analyze a team that's had 3 different coaches throughout the season to gauge where they are and how they play? Is it a bit trickier to prepare for a team like that?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult. I can just imagine if it's difficult for us, how difficult it is for the players. But let's get on to it as we approach. You've seen it's going to be difficult for AmaZulu. They've also had a coaching change now recently. But as I say, the game belongs to the players. So who plays is the players. Where do we start with the profiling? Is the technical abilities of the players and the individuals and what they bring to the group. And then, of course, we look at the tactics and some of the patterns that we can pick up. So, but we'll jump that bridge as we get to it. Feet firmly planted on the ground and focused on the next big assignment, which is AmaZulu.
Coach, I just want to touch on again. I know I asked on the other side.
Yeah.
Considering through set plays, and I've been looking at how dangerous opponent like Wydad is in that space. It has become a concern at this stage. And when I look at this leg, in fact this stage, and I look at the semi-finals, and also if you go to the final, you have the second legs at home. Is this something that is even more inviting to the team to say the omens have spoken?
No, Davi is very difficult. It's a difficult competition, very complicated. It's got its own dynamics and its own challenges, and we have to prepare. If you don't prepare for what could happen in open play, you're going to get punished and suffer. If you don't prepare for what could happen on set pieces, you're going to get punished and suffer. So we know that. We try to keep the ball as much as we possibly can. We know what results in some of the transitions. We know that with a lot of turnovers, you then invite a little bit of these situations that a lot of these teams play for. So the starting point is, of course, take care of the ball and try to be very aggressive in looking after it and having more passes so you can move the block a little bit more. So everything starts with what we do when we are in possession of the ball, and then of course then there's counter pressing and there's recoveries, and then of course if you can't do that, then it's tactical fouls, but where and how close to the box and all these other things. But okay, good. The feeling now is a feeling that the team is qualified for the semi-final. Positivity. Try to enjoy the moment for the short period that we have. And try to work on some of the mistakes, because they, of course, even when you win, there's a lot of mistakes, and just like when you lose, they are more glaring to everybody. And so we go step by step, day by day, and try to get better.
Mm-hmm. And these second legs at home, do they make you to start believing?
I've always been a believer. Always been a believer.
Thank you, Coach. Do you have any other questions? Please in and
Coach, you made a fairly remarkable confession there about the fact that you didn't play professional football, and it does perhaps inhibit some of your. How much of a, just a general question, how much of a perceived mental impediment is it that you haven't, they say you don't have to have been a horse to become a jockey, but I mean, and there are more and more successful coaches who haven't played professional football, but is it a kind of a little bit of a something that gnaws at your shoulder? The fact, do you feel that maybe that's something that's kind of missing in your armory?
No, because I make up for it with a lot of hard work. I make up. I know very well the race that I'm running. I know that's why I and the PSL coaches will tell you I'm probably the one that least spoken. I really try to respect the fact that a coach like Evan Hunt has won so much more than me, has played football at the highest level in this country, and has coached so many teams. And they are coaches that have done incredible work, achieved incredible things more than I have, and maybe are even way better than I could ever be. But the fact that I know my what you call my handicaps. I know my handicaps. The first is that I'm young. The second is that I'm black. And the second is that I never played professional football. And so all these things I am very, very much aware of, and that's what makes me work three times as hard, because I know I've got to make up for so many handicaps. But good, what helps is that I've also got a very good team with good players. I've got good support from the football club with the management and everybody associated, the technical team and the entire club, and that makes a big difference in terms of making up for some of the inhibitions, if you'd like to, for a better term. And then everything else is God's grace for sure.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take the last two questions. I see there's a hand right there at the back.
Thanks so much. Coach,
sure.
Firstly, congratulations on the winning. My question is that I see most of the opponents, when they start on the back foot, like defending very much deeply. So, like, I don't know, maybe is there any strategy, maybe like for the players to take maybe like long shots or whatsoever, because of you could see that they started on the back foot. So I'm not sure if maybe like out of the 18 to.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Coach, we don't have accreditation for that person, so we won't address that. We'll take the next question, Mr. V.
Coach, let me give you time to.
Yeah. I was just diluting that. It's okay. It's all right. Coach,
a colleague of mine spoke about the mental block of Wydad and semi-finals. I guess when you get to this level faced with the experience that is there with the club and semi-finals.
Sure.
In preparing for this match, how much of a mental preparation you're going to have to do on the players so that when they get there, they don't, play the unpleasant memories of the past where, obviously Allah knocked you guys the last time and, all those kinds of things.
We are just privileged enough to live this moment, and so I don't think there will be a lot of work to do mentally. Honestly, I know the group, I know the feeling, I know the type of human beings they are, and I really doubt that we'll have to do long speeches. And even for this game, it was very, very little motivation, and just to make sure the tactics are right, but also to get the feel and to talk to them and have a lot of one-on-ones. That's what we will continue to do. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. But as I said, we are very privileged, one, that we work with very good football players, and two, we also understand how privileged we are to live in these moments, because these moments don't come regularly. We know that because only last season we hoped and we worked and we wanted to be in the semi-finals, and now we are in the semi-finals. And we have to live this moment and enjoy it as much as you can, and what better way than to live every single thing, every single day on the pitch in preparation and trying your level best to win.
Coach,
Sure, Lawrence.
I think Tapelo Morena is probably your big game player, playing up top. Like the Portuguese of Mamelodi Sundowns, all the big games he's showing up. Just how important is he to, against these North African sides? Obviously, he presses high, he runs like an animal. And then secondly, Sipho Mpuli, are you happy with the balance he gives when Allende is not there?
I spoke a little bit about Sipho before, and I was I will reiterate, Sipho is at a very good level. And like many of our players at the moment, good performance is very stable. But like many of our players, we can get better and will get better. I put a lot of pressure on them. I push. And Sipho is one of the players that I think in this country we haven't seen the best of. He knows that because I speak to him a lot about it. He's incredibly talented and a very, very good person. Sipho is a good person. But as I said, I could say the same about Peter, I could say the same about Mshishi, I could say the same about Ronza, I could say the same about Debs, are good people, Sailor, Kulisomudao, Mudiba in the last two games, outstanding, defensively, offensively, build-up phase, Mudiba, excellent. So Sipho is in that space like many of our players. Tapelo, so funny, I said to Tapelo, he must check his family tree. I said that this morning. I said to him, hey, you must check your family tree. I think your forefathers have some North African roots or DNA, because he comes alive against the North Africans. His best games against the North Africans, it just seems like it. So possibly Tapelo has a great-grandfather, great-grandfather that comes from somewhere up north for sure.
Thank you, Coach. If I can ask, we squeeze in one last question.
Sure.
The batting shot.
Yeah.
Temple just equaled Surprise Muriri as the second highest scorer and Sundowns in the PSL era.
Did he equal it or break it?
Equal.
So PSL, and then the other one is top for CAF. So he surpassed Surprise on CAF with 70.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I know you've said so much about him. Is there any more that you still have that you can say about him?
How long you have?
1 minute.
It's not enough. It's not enough. Not enough. Mshishi. It's just a pleasure to coach Mshishi. You know, good players make coaches better, and that's what he makes me every single day. He makes me better. Amazing human being, amazing aura, and I think as he and seriously and honestly, there was an interview. You know, I live in that space. All of you, I get mocked for it. I get criticized, but I live because it's important to learn. And Pep was talking about Bernardo Silva and how good Bernardo makes the team look. Without the goals, without the assists, for sure, Mshishi actually makes us play a lot better. He does. Offensively, he finds the spaces. Today, he was so good behind the defensive midfielders to provoke the centre backs to jump out and to press. And when they don't press, he was able to turn and advance the attack. And he was, Mshishi is one of the great football players we'll ever see in South Africa, and we are just fortunate. You hear it. Honestly, the biggest testament of a great footballer is when the compliment comes from fellow footballers. And you hear how players speak about Mshishi. You hear when even players that don't even play for Sundowns. For an example, Bafana played in Liberia. Mayambela scored. You know what celebration Mayambela did? It's a 2016 Mshishi celebration. So you understand the influence that this guy has on many generations, not just the current generation of Sundowns, but the previous, and this aura and this ability. But over and above that, again, another one that is a testament that to be a top football player, you've got to be a top human being. And that's what Mshishi is before everything else that you see on the pitch and all these other things. The amount of work that he does for the young ones and the support that he gives to the players and the confidence when he's on the pitch that he gives to the team is incredible. And congratulations to him, congratulations to the players, and I'm sure his teammates, and I'm sure we'll still see quite a lot from Mshishi because he lives a very good life, and his lifestyle is good. He looks after himself very, very well. He loves his kids, his sons. He loves his sons. Even though the other one, Sifiso, gets a lot more attention than maybe all of them. But he loves his kids equally, and very good father, a very good leader. And as I said, that's a sign that he's a very good human being.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much, guys.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Members of the media, just a reminder that we
Safe travels.
a mixed zone, which is